I'd like to call to order the Townsend Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, February 28th, 2024 at 7:02 p.m. Can I have a roll call?
James Duroin present.
James Gates.
Kevin Smith.
Pat Gemma.
Still my sheet.
Let's keep moving forward. We already did the Pledge of Allegiance once.
You gotta do it twice.
Not that I have a problem with it.
All right, let's do it.
You want to go home early? I'm
For
trying.
the second time, my friend.
I gotcha.
Kevin?
Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being recorded. Is anyone else recording? Chairman's additions and deletions. I had something, Jessica, what did I need to add? Culvert.
I don't remember.
Culvert. So we're gonna add,
119.
yeah. 3.3, Route 119 culvert at Edwards Road.
Thank you.
That's a replacement.
Well, they did the repairs without filing. I understand, we all understand emergency repairs. We asked them to backfile and they have yet to do so.
Not even under emergency status.
Nothing.
Very good.
Jessica can update us on that. Right.
No paperwork.
Chair report, anything I have to report is going to be covered under agent report. Review and approve minutes from February 14th. Everyone have a chance to review?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion and a second, please.
Second, James Duroin approve.
James Gates, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
Pat Gemma, yes. Who made the motion?
Yes,
Jimmy did.
I did.
Oh, okay.
I doubled up.
Oh,
Wait a
gotcha,
second.
gotcha.
Motion, Dan,
Thank you.
I got my approval.
Thank you, James.
Speed voting.
Don't worry, you can watch the video and get confused by that. 1.7 agent report.
What are you good for, Tom?
Well, it covers dates February 14th to February 24th. We had 2 building permit sign-offs, one for 2 Hillside Road and one for 152 North End Road. Other pending permit reviews, 2 Capricorn Lane. We have an NOI that's supposed to be coming in. I gave the contractor a call and he said he's working on that. 65 Main, which we will be reviewing again tonight. ZBA referrals for 3 Wheeler Road, which we're also going to be looking at tonight. There's a mandatory referral notice. The application is in our file.
3 Wheeler Road, West Townsend.
Yes.
We have completed -3 determinations for DAs at 42 and 22 West Meadow, 8 Riverbank Terrace, the right-of-way at 80 Main Street, and between 80 Main Street and Main Street and South Street intersection, and at 97 Main Street.
Are those ready to be signed?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're also in they're in a different folder in the binder. Yeah, and
And I'll
we have
finish.
an NOI that was submitted to us for 88 Meadow Road. It's currently incomplete. The total fines due at that address is $3,300. For violations, I did issue a $100 fine to the property owner at 56 Bayberry Hill. We mentioned last time that the last meeting that the sign was not posted, the DEP file number sign. The fine was actually issued for failure to record the OOC that was issued back in August of 2023 with the Registry of Deeds. So I let him know, and I gave him access, if he no longer has the original copy of his OOC, that there are opportunities to rent it from the town hall if needed, so I'm working with him on that.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
Jamie, did you ever comment to that?
No,
No, you could, please.
Familiar with the site?
with 88,
No, 56 Bayberry Hill.
Matt, the old Matt Brady's place, he gave it to the church, or gave it to the church pastor.
correct.
Pastor of the church, I should say.
It seems like Brett's going through quite a bit with
This isn't Brett.
on
No, 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 no.
66 or
Yeah.
50.
We're
No.
talking 56.
56.
Oh, Matt Brady's
The
old,
old place there, yes.
Yeah.
He donated it to the pastor of the church
yes,
for a parsonage or some type of
right.
house there.
So,
Yeah, and then the sign wasn't put up, and he didn't have the information.
Well, he didn't record
He
the,
didn't record the order
that's why,
conditions.
that was,
That's
the
probably
that
the
was the
reason
fine.
behind it,
Yes.
yeah, we reached out to him back in November. Jessica did
I-
before I started.
Yeah, no, I didn't,
And this is for the
Son,
12 by,
no,
No.
because he did not record it with the Registry of Deeds. He did not record the order of conditions.
And he might have lost his order of conditions.
That's not our problem.
No, it's not, but
and this is a Matt we're dealing.
No.
no,
This is someone
it's the pastor of the church.
We're just,
It's the pastor of the church we're dealing with.
I
Oh,
apologize.
yeah.
I'm off on that one. I thought we were at another spot,
Yeah.
but
No,
Okay.
I knew where you thought you were.
I'm gonna follow.
and I, no,
You too.
I followed,
You feel bad
I
because
know where
the
you're.
pastor of the church.
Okay,
You know, you
I'll-
feel bad about it.
Continue.
So
Really?
there was
Right.
a violation that was, I did a site visit to 31 Turner Road. There was tree cutting within a wetland buffer. So I requested that they submit an RDA. And
Within 100 feet.
within 100 feet of a wetland buffer, trees were cut and.
Now, they also asked about filling in an area that was within the buffer.
Yeah, so I let
That's gonna
them,
be a notice of intent, though. So you're filling,
okay, well,
so,
the RDA is for the work that was already done, and if they'd like to do more work, they can reach out to us. And we'll advise them. And
But-
so-
just make sure they know that.
You're right. If they're gonna do any filling, that's gonna be an R. Yeah,
And
yes.
so there were, for the order of conditions that were just approved at the last meeting, I believe, 2 meetings ago, they've all recorded their OOCs with the Registry of Deeds, and I have, proof of that in their files. And ongoing discussions with Mass DOT for 119 and Edwards Road. We're expecting them to retrofile, for that culvert. And then I just recently sent out 2 more letters, 1 to 3 Aries for the bridge removal that was put in over the perennial stream. The homeowner has requested from you all if they can remove the bridge in April.
What bridge are we referring to?
Put a little pedestrian bridge
It's-
over a brook.
Something that a home,
A
some family,
homeowner it's on Conscom land over a perennial
Oh, yeah,
stream.
there's that part too.
and we're requesting them to remove it because of, it
It's
should
on
not.
our property.
Because
A, it's
of,
on our
'cause it-
property, it creates liability. B, it's within a,
Gotcha. I know where we are there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they requested if they could wait until April, and I have not responded. I wanted to. talk
And
to
that's
you
probably
first.
Where
for,
is this down, Timberley?
one of those little parcels that we were gifted
yeah.
back in the 60s and 70s when they built
Little-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a bunch of little postage stamps from McKenna and that fellow.
All right, so, and then I sent one more letter to 158 Fitchburg, letting them know that they have an open OOC.
158 Pittsburgh, which would be who?
It was the house that sat empty for a couple of years.
The
They
septic
just did the
repair.
septic, or the new
The
septic,
new house they put out
No,
the back?
Little house on the left, the little ranch, right?
right
Dip in
before
the
Clement.
road,
Yeah,
Before Clement, on the left-hand side, little ranch.
okay.
Before us a couple of months
The one
back.
where we found the sump pump pumping into the wetlands.
Into the
Yeah.
wetlands, gotcha.
That guy.
So
Good.
they sold the house,
Yeah.
didn't complete the,
Complete the OC file.
they didn't,
Once again, lack of communications. People aren't getting back to us, all frustrated.
so, well, we had denied their request because the soil wasn't stabilized. It wasn't hydroseeded, didn't have straw on it, it was just soil.
Gotcha.
So,
All right, moving
we're gonna go
forward.
to our first appointment, it's 7/12.1. We're very lucky to have, Mia McDonald's, our DEP circuit rider here, and she's going to
Good evening, young lady.
discuss and give us, an overview and training on, Wetlands
Yeah.
Protection Act and, the agricultural exemptions involved.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, no, she,
That way I'm not looking through that big ugly guy.
We love it.
She has a PowerPoint presentation that I'm gonna join the Zoom now. And
Harley, can Autumn have screen sharing? Are you on?
I'm
Signed on?
logging on right now.
Well, Mia gets settled.
And are you able to share the presentation from here?
Yep. Logging in now, joining.
A long ride.
Okay, Autumn, you should be able to screen share now.
Yeah, map
Okay.
said 50 minutes, but it took an hour because it's traffic. in
Where
Worcester.
you from then?
Worcester.
And we thank you for coming all the way to Worcester
Oh,
to come
happy
to
to.
this
It's
happy
not a
little.
bad drive. No, I love 190.
uh,
190 and 395 are my favorite highways. Share screen.
I've heard people say otherwise, but, you know,
We got you on him.
Okay. I may have to
And
just
wetlands
scroll
protection.
down. Do you want to tell me next slide, or would you prefer to scroll down?
Oh,
as you-
sure. Just hit down. when I want.
Yeah. Oh, okay, perfect.
As you guys can see, yep, okay. So this was developed by Alicia Galen. She's our Northeast Wetland Circuit Rider. I'm the Central Region Circuit Rider, but we work together. And I updated it last June, first, because I do this training often, you know, for commissions.
So there is a revised document to this?
No, this is the
This
revised
is-
document, and I'm gonna send it to you. The reason I'm
Okay.
saying that is because there are some slides that are gonna be very text heavy, and that's because if Autumn is okay with it, she can email it to everyone, and you can use it as a reference to go back to.
Because the reference I've been using is from like 2014 or something.
No, it's okay, that's the farming and wetlands.
And then,
This is still
then there was
valid.
one we had in the office that was even
Yeah, it's like
older,
1995.
Yeah.
And updated, I think, 2005, 1996,
Oh, it was 2014.
updated 2005. It's still
Or
valid,
2005, it was.
yeah,
But
and I brought extra
Great.
That's almost
copies.
20 years old.
Oh,
If you
awesome.
wanted any,
Oh,
the thing about this manual, and we'll refer
Look
to
at
it
this.
later, is you can tear pages right out of it and hand them to people. Like, that's how it was written. It's written in simple terms so that, you know, you can bring it out in the field with you. And like, while I'm in the field, I will just rip the page out and hand it and go home and reprint the new one, you
It
know,
makes
it's the
it
relevant pages.
very
Them
easy.
informed with paperwork.
I
Yeah,
didn't get one.
so I'll leave this one too, but I do want to be able to refer to it.
Okay.
Nobody loves
Right
this
here,
one.
right here, right here.
You can share for now. And you'll notice
Can we
too,
get a copy?
You can
DEP,
have
we
this.
reuse
You
3-ring
can-
binders. Yes, these
You
are
actually have a
reused.
copy?
People
Yes.
send us,
As
we
So
don't.
this is yours, right here.
Yeah.
Oh.
So people
Nice.
send us NOIs and then when we're done with them, we
This
use
is
the
the most
3-ring
important
binders to
document
bring you.
we've got.
Nice. We just have an NOI and a three-ring binder. so,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep, I-
awesome.
So don't be
Oh, I was gonna
intimidated
say,
by
I'll
the
print
text
this
heavy
another one.
slides. Okay, I'm not gonna read everything on the slide. It's really, that I'm gonna be referring to this stuff and then you'll have a copy of this so you can refer to later. So the resources that we use for this training are the Wetlands Protection Act, the regulations definition section. Most of the agriculture section of the Wetlands Protection Act is under definitions. So section 10.04 has alter, it has, critical area. Under A, agriculture, there's like 10 pages, and that's where most of the agriculture regulations are. As you can tell, they were inserted later, so that's where we put them. There was a preface, it was done in 1993, so the 1993 preface also has some information that we're gonna refer to. And then the Farming and Wetlands Manual, like I said, it is updated 2005, but it's still mostly valid. The only document that's not valid in here is the Memorandum of Understanding with Forestry, but there's a copy here in the appendix.
A lot of the farming and wetlands that's mostly to cranberry bogs and,
No, it's everything, like a lot of farms have wetlands because they're just so big.
right, but
You
some
know?
people misunderstand farming in wetlands,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, we're gonna go through that. You'll see. So just, I decided to leave in a little 101, little WPA 101 in here, so we're just gonna do a brief overview of the Wetlands Protection Act. We're talking about, we're gonna not touch on coastal, because Townsend doesn't have any coastal resources, so inland resource areas, there's bank, BVW, like swamps and marshes, land underwater, land subject to flooding and riverfront area, and then we can skip most of that. The only thing it has is a bank, the beach to a lake or pond, and BVW have 100-foot buffer zone. And so that's another area where people may need a permit. So wetlands are important for the 8 interests of the Wetlands Protection Act, which is protection of public and private water, groundwater, flood control, storm damage prevention, pollution prevention. No shellfish really in Townsend, right? You guys don't have a crawfish farm. Protection of fisheries and wildlife habitat. Your jurisdiction, because you implement the Wetlands Protection Act, is all the areas listed on the left, as long as they border on something larger. So isolated wetlands are not included in the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act. Do you guys have a local bylaw? Does that cover isolated wetlands? Yep. So those additional protections. Another area subject to jurisdiction is anything, the land under the water bodies, land subject to coastal storm flowage tidal action, land subject to flooding and riverfront area. You'll notice the water column is not listed. You don't regulate the water column. To be regulated, it has to be over 100,000 gallon withdrawal, and that's a different office at DEP. It's not even the Conservation Commission or my section. We talked about the inland resource areas, bank, BVW, land underwater and waterways, land subject to flooding and riverfront area. This is kind of an image. You can see on the left, it's a classic little stream with a swampy area adjacent to it, the land under the stream. And then on the right is something a little less obvious. I think this is like Route 119 or 116, and it's still bordering the subject to flooding, even though there's a road through it.
What area? Oh, okay. Anyway. Okay.
So rivers have a little bit more protection under the Clean Rivers Act, and it's a natural flowing body of water. It could be any size. There's 2 different classes of rivers, perennial and intermittent. There's also a list of major rivers listed in the Wetlands Protection Act. And Jessica had emailed me a question. I did reply to her, but it was like 4 o'clock today, but I don't know if she got it yet. You guys can call me. Yeah, perennial streams are as shown on a current USGS map, and we use the national map. I sent her the link to that.
Okay.
You guys can give me a call tomorrow if you want about that. But I don't know where the stream is. But really it comes in the door. If it comes in the door to your office as perennial, because it's shown a USGS map or has watershed size greater than an acre, it's perennial. The only way to degrade it, to downgrade it to intermittent, is with photographic evidence, those 4 photos. So,
Of it dry,
yes, of dry
not
conditions.
flowing.
Yep.
But a dated newspaper on a
Yeah,
dry
4
riverbed.
days. 4 days, and not during a drought. We have a lot of drought periods, but they're all posted.
So you have to be aware of it.
Yeah, but if it's a solid blue line on the USGS and it's perennial, and they walk in the door, sit with data that says it's less than an acre, then no, you have to have the 4 photos.
Okay.
So,
We've seen that put in front of us on a couple different building lots.
yeah. The riverfront area has special protections. Riverfront area is not a buffer. It is an actual protected area. It's 200 feet off of each side of the river along the mean annual high water line of the bank. It often overlaps with other resource areas, and we have a graphic for that. The buffer zone is less restricted. It doesn't have performance standards. Every resource area has a set of performance standards with like strict rules that can and cannot happen based on the interest and what you're protecting. Buffer zone does not have performance standards, but it is a regulated area. It's 100 feet off of the banks of streams, lakes, and ponds, and marshes, swamps, and bogs, and wet meadows. It just means it needs a permit because it's highly likely to alter. So it's not that it's not permittable, it usually just needs a permit.
Highly likely to alter.
Especially the first 25 feet, yeah. So this is an image of the overlapping resource areas. You can see the river in blue. The cattails signify like the swampy area. So you can kind of see there's this area over down by the edge of the buffer zone where you're out of the riverfront area. You're completely out. It could be a house that's a buffer zone only project. And that's what the whole point is, to encourage people to move further and further away.
From water bodies.
Yeah, less permitting, less restrictions, get further away and leave that natural buffer. This is in every textbook, every wetland textbook, and it just shows that it's really hard to see. But it just shows all the different resource areas. What is subject to regulation? Anything that will alter. And what does it mean to alter? Any remove, filling, dredging. There's a lot of exemptions in the wetlands protection, including agriculture exemptions, which we're going to dive into in a minute. There's utility exemptions. But remember that no one can walk in the door to you and say, it's exempt. They can't do that, like wave their magic wand. They have to tell you why it's exempt. It's their job. It's the proponent or the applicant's job to dig into the regulations and tell you why their project is exempt and prove it to you. You get to decide if it's exempt or not. What does it mean to alter? Because we will say, one of the most common calls I got as an agent was, I'm just going to clean it up. I'm going to clean it up. The only thing you clean up is trash. Is there trash in your wetland? You can clean out the trash. Sure, go ahead. But cleaning up a wetland shouldn't be that's vegetation removal. So you can't, destruction of vegetation is altering the wetland. Yes, even invasives. They can file an RDA to hand pull invasives. If they can file an NOI if they're going to be using machinery and that's called ecological restoration. We encourage those projects. It's a special category where they have less restrictions, but it still requires a permit because they still have to demonstrate how the long-term, how they're not going to alter.
All right, so, I mean, just in the moment, I've been a little bit more enlightened because we're doing some work on the meadow, and it's not gonna be an RDA, it's gonna be an NOI if we're gonna be removing invasives
With machinery. So that's considered site work, because you're destabilizing the ground. So
Well,
we
then
need erosion
Then we'll
controls.
have to borrow those really nice little orange root pullers to
You could
do,
do it by hand.
all
do it by
that
hand.
area.
Yep.
Yeah.
just to keep the paperwork down.
And if it's a maintenance issue, like if it's conservation land, you start seeing invasive, and you're just going in and hand pulling and there's you don't need a permit. Like if no one even knows you're there, right? If you see a few bittersweet vines and you pull them, you don't need a permit. No one's even gonna know you were there, right? The tree falls in the forest
What's
to
the
make a sound.
limitations now then? You're going in and maintain your
Well,
ditches in the
she's
pond?
gonna- she's
Yes, it
gonna-
should be
she's
maintained.
Gonna
Yep.
get there.
Yeah, we'll get there,
Oh,
definitely.
okay.
Yeah. DEP says you should always maintain.
Because the DEP, I hope, has seen
What happens is when they
what
don't
the
maintain,
invasives have
Yeah.
been doing.
when they don't
Take off.
when it's not
Spread out,
maintained,
they go.
then it becomes a problem, and then you need to file an NOI to bring it back to what it should look like, because it's more intensive a project. So let's talk about the agricultural exemptions. Under 10.04, there's a whole list of basically everything that's considered normal maintenance and improvement of land in agricultural use. We need to really, Alicia did this great job of color coding these statements, so it's like work for normal maintenance or improvement of land in agricultural use or aquacultural use, but we're just gonna refer to it as ag. So we wanna look at, it looks like this is you, someone emailed you. I was like, someone's emailing me, but it's your computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We do that.
So the effective date was May 21st, 1993. Some regions, like most, DEP is obviously one unit, but sometimes the regions vary a little bit. Here in Central, we have more farms than Northeast and Southeast. In Western, they have tons of farms, right? So in Central, we just want to see that the land is actively in agricultural use for the past 5 years. We can usually do the aerials, right? We can just look to see that it's been in use. So like, if someone buys a farm that 100 years ago was a farm and now it's a forest, and then they clear it, that's considered new agriculture. This needs to be current. It needs to be actively in agriculture, and you're now in the agricultural bucket, right? And then you get all the exemptions. This can be tricky, and we're going to talk about it some more. And so I just want to say, in the end, you can always call me and I can help. And I've done that. Like we had a project recently in Townsend where I kept saying, I really feel like this is a farm, and I really feel like this farmer should be getting it's reviewed under a different set of performance standards. If you're not a farmer at all, you're just not a farmer, you're reviewed under the standard performance standards for each resource area that you're working in. If you are a farmer, you're reviewed under the exemptions or reviewed under the limited projects. Limited project means special. It's a special project that we know has to happen. So it's not, the regular performance standards aren't applied. So the best example is culvert replacement. You've got an existing culvert, it needs to be replaced. A new culvert has to fully meet stream crossing standards. An existing culvert with a gas line below and a sewer line beneath and an old New England road can't meet the new stream crossing standards. So it's called a limited project. We know it has to happen, so there's special guidelines just for that project. And the same thing for new agriculture. But let's focus more on the definition of
That's why I
agriculture.
would end up needing engineering to do
No.
the replacement of the culverts
Oh,
on West
that,
Meadow.
yes.
Okay, common
And that's a huge
misconceptions.
thing that is, I don't want to,
Right.
we want to say this, but it's kind of like a new concept to our town is meeting stormwater.
I think it's gonna be.
I mean, stream
Love the
crossing
one-
standards.
We'll love the ones that are there and get them cleaned out and improve them. That's another
Yeah,
story.
culvert
for
should be
another day.
maintained too. So a common
don't.
misconception is if someone has a conservation plan from NRCS or a forest cutting plan or having land in chapter 61, those aren't automatically, yes, this is, I went to a farm once and they were doing work that was nowhere near where they were producing. It was the farm stand parking lot. And they were building a bridge over the stream. And he goes, I'm exempt, I'm ag. But it doesn't work like that. We have to look at the land that is being used in agriculture and the land that supports that agriculture. We're gonna go into some examples. But all three of these things are also a good indication that this might be a real farmer. My first litmus test when I talk to a farmer is I say, would you mind sharing the part of your farm plan? Because no farmer wants to share his whole farm plan, right? It's proprietary. So would you mind sharing that part of your farm plan that shows you need to maintain that culvert? And if they say, what's a farm plan? Then I kind of, okay, maybe this isn't a farmer, right? Maybe this is a gentleman farmer who's just boarding pet horses, right? So let's get a little bit more into that.
Can I just ask another quick question? Are we still talking about forestry agriculture also? in
Yep,
this?
forestry is also part of
Because
agriculture.
I'm dual setup. I'm in
Yeah.
agriculture and forestry.
Yeah, forestry is different because,
Mm,
I'm talking about the 5 years.
Right.
So a forestry, we're gonna look, you can still use aerials, right?
Mhm.
But if someone decides to put property in forestry, or maybe they've always sort of grown forest products there, but never put it in the chapter 61 program or had a forestry management plan. These things are 20, 30-year plans. They're still forestry. They're still forestry.
But there's different aspects of forestry agriculture. We're in the middle of doing one right now,
Mhm.
tapping maple trees. So in other words, we're culled out all of our big boar pines out of choke chip.
Jimmy, we gotta let her keep going because we
But-
have a 7:55.
It's
Oh, yeah.
agriculture of the tree.
No, there's whole separate, so each project is almost, you'll see, it's listed out separately.
Right,
There's
right, right. I
forestry
just wanna make
sections.
sure we're
Yeah, there's forestry
including
sections.
agriculture and
Yeah.
forestry.
So land in agricultural use means the land that's presently and primarily used in producing or raising a commodity. Another good question you can ask a farmer, what commodity do you produce on your farm? What makes the money? Okay, you grow garlic, you sell it, you get money. The good indicator is $500. 500, if you make at least $500. So if someone's raising bees and they're making $500 in honey, that's a farm, okay? But if they're raising chickens and honey, and they just eat the eggs and eat the honey and give it to their friends, they're not producing a commodity. They're not in the business of farming. They may not qualify for the exemption. We can look at other possibilities. Maybe they have some forestry land, but generally, no, that is a hobby. That is not a farm, okay? My husband works on a farm. He says the difference between a gardener and a farmer is the size of your tractor, okay? You know what I mean? Okay,
Really?
I've heard that term used before.
yeah,
That's why
like,
we got big ones.
yeah, farmers have tractors, okay? People who have a hobby have tractors,
It's determined by how many steps it takes to get up into the
Exactly.
operating
Or
station.
how much it costs to refill one that's flat and
Yeah.
calcium.
And then
How
another
much it
thing
costs
is,
to fuel them up.
what's
How many
also
gallons
covered
a
in the
day?
exemption is the land that's related to. So the barn that stores your tractors, the road you use to get to and from your fields, those are also considered part of the agricultural
Yeah,
exemption.
road maintenance, building, and, yeah.
So what is normal maintenance? This is an exempt activity. You don't need a permit. Want to say, just because you don't need a permit doesn't mean you shouldn't notify the Conservation Commission, because everybody's watching and people like to complain. So it's always a good idea, if you are a farmer, to notify the Conservation Commission, hey, I'm going to be doing work in my farm pond that I planned on doing. Hey, and then if it's in a resource area and there's any question, maybe file an RDA, The RDA is what really is the rock solid commission. They will make a formal determination that the activity really is exempt. The use of fertilizers, manures, and composts or other soil amendments. Repair or replacement of existing access roads and livestock crossings. So not enlargement, not new ones, but the repair and replacement. Maintenance of existing forest boundary lines, wind breaks, hedgerows, and fire breaks. Keeps going, managing of existing fields, maintenance of existing fences, clearing, grading, repairing, dredging, restoring of existing man-made or natural water management systems. This is a big one. Okay, there are limitations. With number 7, let's linger on that one just for a second. You know, as we've experienced right here in Townsend, that there are stream channels and wetland resource areas that are part of a farm's water conveyance system. You know, it's between 2 farm ponds. It's still a jurisdictional stream. This is where we want to get NRCS involved. NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service. They are free technical assistance and engineering for farmers. Their whole goal is sustainability. How do we do this in a way to limit erosion, to encourage soil health and encourage those interests of the Wetlands Protection Act? How do we protect flood damage control? How do we protect storm damage prevention? How do we protect our groundwater supply? The NRCS practices have all that in mind. So we like to see farmers working with, and often if a farmer says, I'm going to be, you know, my waterway has eroded due to a recent storm, I'm going to replace it with a grass line channel that's in this spec sheet that NRCS gave me. And this is how, these are the erosion controls I'm going to use to not sediment up my neighbor's ponds 500 feet downstream. And I think this is exempt. That would probably be best, something at least in writing to the commission, especially when you're going to start. And if the commission could say, you know what, we're not really sure about this, let's do an RDA, and the commission then could determine it to be exempt formally. Remember, a negative determination means the work is exempt. So also maintenance of and repair of ongoing composting sites and existing farm structures. More, this is all exempt, like it just goes on and on and on. Seeding of eroded or disturbed areas, maintaining the flow of existing natural waterways. Like if you have invasives starting to grow into your stream channel, and you know, a lot of times those streams have field right up to either side, and the stream channel starts getting invasives, those can be pulled out. Keeping of livestock and poultry and
When you say
management of
pulled
beehives.
out,
With the.
If you're going to destabilize the ground,
it
right?
can be pulled out.
You want to use controls. If machinery is going to be used, actually, I think really case by case basis, like talk with your conservation agent, look at it. If you can put in writing and demonstrate how this is going to be done without causing sedimentation, without destabilizing the bank, protecting the interests of the act,
Yeah.
could be considered an exempt activity. Cutting and removal of trees.
Do you mind repeating that again? Because it's very important,
Sure.
you know.
Contact your conservation commission if you're going to be working in any wetland resource areas, because it's still farmers' responsibility to demonstrate they're exempt, just like the utility exemption. You should say, this is why I'm exempt. This is the normal maintenance that I'm doing on, here's the stream on my farm plan. Okay, it needs to be maintained. It's overgrown with invasives. It's got to the point where I have to use equipment, but this is how I'm not going to silt up the area downstream because I'm going to use this turbidity curtain. Or you really have to demonstrate how you're not going to make a mess. How you're not just going to rip apart the stream. There's also other overlapping. If there's habitat, you know, we want to see if there's any other
Priority
triggers.
habitat, different formats of that.
You don't want to be messing up any other triggers. We want to make sure we don't approve something that you later get in trouble for, right?
We're amidst this, that's why I've reached out to Bob Purcell. He's gonna be sending
At
out,
NRCS, right?
at NRCS, he's gonna be sending out one of the reps to help me get through some of
Yes.
this. He knows I'm struggling. I spoke to Dan Lenthal. Dan says, Jimmy, I'm in the big house now, only for a few more years till I retire.
Oh,
He
really?
did my farm plan with me 20 years
He
ago.
did as, he did build a lot around you. As
I've had really good
Dan's
luck
been
with
great.
NRCS.
And so at this point in time, because of what we're doing for projects
Mhm.
with reclaiming area, the Maple Grove, the water, the breaching of it, the flood controls, the culverts being compromised, we got
So we gotta
every-
keep going.
everything
So finish.
going right there.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna be looking to talk to you more about what
Yeah,
we're
you can
doing.
call anytime. You can start with Autumn, and then if you guys have questions, give me a call.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about improvement. We talked about maintenance.
Mhm.
There's also normal improvement in agriculture. So you never fill or dredge a salt marsh. That's a really highly protected area. You guys don't have that out here. So when it occurs in land and agricultural use, in the buffer or bordering land subject to flooding that is not land and agricultural use, when it's directly related to your production of your commodities,
Mhm.
and notice this, when it's undertaken in a way to prevent an erosion and siltation of adjacent water bodies. So again, it's not a free pass to make a mess, right? You still have to have those controls in place. And then there might be other state laws, like we talked about habitat, or if you have any watershed,
Meaning watershed.
Demonstrating that,
Watershed as far as, what do you mean?
Do you have any
water?
DCR watershed up here?
Yeah, we must.
all Pearl.
I mean, we've got so much state forestry in the area.
Yeah, you also have.
Damon.
No, Squanicook, right along the rail trail, it's all
Correct.
DCR.
Yeah, you're right, you
Yeah.
guys do.
So
So
yes,
if you're
we do.
working, if any of that is on the farm, you may also need to contact DCR.
No.
So normal improvement to install fencing, install dikes in a cranberry farm. Construction of farm structures doesn't include a house for your manager or your brother. Okay, it has to be a farm structure that is needed for the production of the commodity.
So in
Okay,
other words, if somebody builds a building in an agriculture setting and they say it's gonna be for my Christmas tree farm or something like that, and all of a sudden he turns it into a rental, that's a no-no?
yep, right, maybe, I think maybe zoning too. The best way to do is to parcel it off, of the farm.
Gotcha.
And create. So squaring off the fields, construction of bypass channels, change in commodity, that's another, if you're going from forestry to wheat, or, if you're gonna clear the land, could be considered normal improvement.
Recreating,
Yep, compost areas, water management projects, the reconstruction of existing dikes, expansion of existing ponds, construction of ponds and bypass channels when directly related to the production or raising of agricultural commodities. I do want to say here, for farmers in towns and anywhere, NRCS is moving away from surface water. Okay, surface water is highly open to contaminants. It's not that they want you to drill wells. That's the sustainable way. And so contact NRCS. They will help you look. There was recently a farm in another town in Central Mass where they put all these money, could not. There was no wells. They had to construct a new pond. And they did it, along a stream where it kind of came out of the stream. They created a tailwater recovery system. So
interesting.
it can be done, but first, prior to, like a call I get off from people who think they want to become farmers, is if well, there's this swamp out there, so I'm just going to dredge it and make it into a pond. I say, no, before you do that, you have to
Everything. You gotta go
contact.
through all of it.
Yeah, you don't have to contact NRCS, you can do it yourself, you can contact a well company and see if it's if there's an alternative that doesn't destroy the wetland. Because a wetland provides different interests of the act than an open water lake. And also open water lakes that are man-made don't last, they slowly fill in. So it's really better for them to be exploring the alternatives that don't alter the wetlands first.
But doesn't that fall under your periodic maintenance? My
No,
pond is due for a little,
Oh, if it's an existing
out.
farm pond, that's a normal maintenance.
that's what I
Yes,
thought.
existing farm ponds.
Outstanding.
And so then Autumn might ask, well, can you show me where on your plan, actually, before even that, you look at aerials. There's farm ponds look like farm ponds, right? Like they're usually squared off. They don't look natural. The banks are usually maintained in a different way. They're not covered in birches and alders. They're a little more open.
Accessibility for
Now,
usage.
what
Exactly.
about, dare say, filling in farm ponds that have not, the surrounding is not vegetated, it's just a hole that was dug
Yeah.
and groundwater fills in it.
If it was isolated, you'd have to review under your local bylaw, but under the Wetlands Protection Act, if it were isolated and not bordering on anything, so it's not a jurisdictional resource area, right? If it's just it's where it intercepts groundwater and they just dug a hole. If it were the classic farm pond, which is where you either dam up a stream or excavate a stream back in the 1800s, and you could allow that to fill in. You could fill in the pond. I think you would have to do it under an ecological restoration project. Or maybe you could come in under an ag NOI to say like, this is why we're gonna do it. Like maybe you wanna, I think it would be an NOI because there would be a lot of change you'll see later when we get into the limited projects, it's all based on square footage of alteration. So we really look at what were the
Size of
resource
the-
areas, the long-term goal of the project, square footage of alteration. So it'll be probably allowable, but might need
But the
permit.
history of it is, you'll have to figure the history of it is, the size of it is to the proximity to whatever water area.
Yeah,
Burden
So you could,
of proof is on.
so you
the
could
property.
GIS it, say, back in 76, it wasn't there, obviously it was done in 83. It's not being needed, it's actually a liability, dangerous now because it's not in use.
yeah, we want to see it restored a certain way. You wouldn't want to fill it into the point. You really have to look at, so this,
How do
You look at the
fill
street-
it in a certain
Well, I
way.
don't wanna get hung up on.
yeah, we could
on
really it'd be
this.
case by case.
We'll talk.
Say you filled it in too much and made a restriction, you could create upstream flooding. So you want to make sure that you're doing it thoughtfully.
In the worst of,
Yeah.
okay,
That's just one example.
yeah,
Okay, so land and production versus necessary and related land. So land and production is presently and primarily used in the production of the commodity. Necessary and related land is used in a manner related to. I don't think we need to spend much time on this. These are areas that are essential to the farm's operation. The barns, the roads, the places you store things. Just be careful because not everything is. The farm stand, like if someone has a farm stand, usually isn't used in the production of the commodity. If it's, we can really get into the weeds here with this, is
Yeah, I don't want.
there are farm stands that don't sell what they raise, right?
Right.
They're getting apples from New Jersey, right? They're selling sandwiches. Okay, that farm stand is not necessary for the production of the commodity, which might be raspberries or pick your own blueberry farm,
but every farm cannot grow everything, and every farm is related with all the other farmers, and we share product and
But,
And
commodities.
that's
so,
fine
so
too,
in
yeah.
England, within a township or however they're divided, you have to bring in products from a certain radius.
Okay,
For
Gotcha.
it to be included in that
Yep.
exemption that they have.
And we can look at the percentage too.
I don't wanna get hung up on the weeds
Yeah,
like
if the
you said.
majority of the products are what is being sold on the farm, it might be considered essential. Okay, active versus inactive land. This is where it might vary by region. Most of the time it has to be in active use within the past 5 years.
Mhm.
There are programs, we know there are programs where the USDA has actually asked farmers to let things go fallow for longer periods of time, to let the topsoil regenerate. If you have one of those agreements, or it's in your farm plan that that's what you're doing, you're letting an area rest for 10 years, you can just demonstrate that to the commission. You can say like, I'm about to
And the states are right here.
till this field and I'm gonna start growing, whatever I'm gonna grow here. And it looks like it might be a successional forest, but it's not. I actually allowed it as I said in my farm plan 10 years ago, I was gonna let it rest for 10 years.
We've got a group that likes everything to go to fallow.
Yeah. Examples of non-exempt activities: bringing abandoned land back into production, opening new land to farming. This is land that there's no farm plan to let it rest. It was really just abandoned a long time ago and it's now a forest. Building a farm stand, a produce packing facility or parking lot, installing ground mounted solar panels, keeping, this is a big one, keeping horses, goats, llamas, etc. as pets, even if they rent out an extra stall. Like saying, well, I make money because I board. They're not producing a commodity. If they breed the horses, yes, they are producing a commodity. And we also know that you may not breed a horse every year, right? Like you may have a bad year, you may have a bad crop year. So really it's looking at the bigger picture. Managing pastures, paddocks, and riding. Riding is not producing a commodity.
If they're training and they're being paid to train somebody,
No,
Yeah.
not
You're
unless
not
they agree.
producing,
You're not
you're
producing
not
the goods.
producing a commodity that you can sell, it's not tangible in a way, so.
Yeah.
try.
You're
All right.
producing a rider.
Let's
Those
talk,
don't
about yeah.
You haven't even birthed the ride right there.
Those
So-
don't count.
Like I said, when I did these, that I should have ripped out the old memorandum of understanding. I missed it. This one is the old memorandum of understanding with DCR Forestry. There's a new one in 2018. It is on the web. That really details that a Conservation Commission is comment only for almost all forestry projects. You're comment only. If you have a concern about a site that's in active forestry, contact DCR's Service Forestry for the area. Remember that as long as a forest is following the practices and the best management practices for their forestry project, they are exempt under their forestry management plan. Once they go outside of that, once they leave it, like best example, they put in a crossing to access a forestry for a cutting, right? That access is supposed to be removed within 30 days of the end of the forestry project.
Zipper, yeah.
Yep, they come back to you, they come into you 2 months later and they're like, it's existing. It's not existing, take it out.
Take it out.
Take
right,
it out.
Right.
So once they are outside of their forestry plan, or they say they were supposed to leave a 25-foot vegetated filter next to a stream, and they cut it all down, and the forester goes out there and says, okay, let's work to get the site back in compliance,
Right.
they are ignored, the forestry will then turn it over to us, to you guys and to us. Is
Mhm.
now a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act.
I got you.
Okay, so as long as they're
You have to
within,
have an active forestry plan.
yeah, and
Or-
stay within the rules of that plan. Okay,
So,
but first start, there's
So
a,
if they do not have a forestry plan or a cutting plan, and we get a complaint
mhm.
about stormwater or runoff, it's within our means to,
Contact DCR first, say, is there a forest management plan? And they say, no, there isn't, this person was just clearing. If it's within your jurisdictional areas or getting into. So say it's outside the buffer zone, but it's now sediment has come into one of your streams or ponds, you now issue enforcement of the Wetlands
is there
Protection
a
Act.
minimum acreage to that?
No, no, when it's outside of your jurisdictional resource area, it's just unless and until they alter one of our resource areas.
Okay.
so in other words, when I do certain cuts on my property, X amount of board feet is predicated to restoration of my barn. X amount of board feet that
Yes,
is removed.
oh, I
is
should have brought the
predicated
manual.
To the building of and repair of the barn, flooring,
I can mail
shiplap,
you
beams,
some of
etc.
these. There's, under the best management practices, there is, that's just landings, I should have brought the manual. For forestry, people can cut a certain amount of board feet for their own use per year.
That's what I'm saying. I'm amiss, we just did a cutting, and the majority of that's being predicated for the replacement beams of my barn restoration. We're lifting it and moving
Yep,
on.
you do firewood, you can do, but there is a limit, and I can't think of what it is off the top of my
So
head.
I don't-
But
we
it's
have
a
five-
handy
we have
dandy
5 minutes
brochure.
left, Just.
Yeah,
I know I ate too much time on it.
No, I'm just making sure we stay
So-
on task.
Chatty Cat.
He
I-
needs to be out.
I
at a
gave
certain
you
time
this.
Before he turns into a pumpkin.
if there was if we had time, I was gonna go through examples on page 2-4. These are really good, because these are really common examples. I have been in the field where someone fit this exactly, and I just ripped, it was, here you go, this is your example, see how you're not exempt? The other good resource in here is this table here, it's a yes or no kind of table, where you can ask yourself questions, is it normal maintenance? Yes, it's exempt.
I also want to state, you also will stand up and say, I feel that you should be within the ag limitations.
Yes, I really do try to get,
I
I'm
try
being
to,
recorded, aren't I?
no,
I try to
you
get
are.
farmers as many, if you're a farmer, farming in New England is really hard. And I think that
In
if
the best of times.
it is, yes,
In
and
the
I
best of
think,
times.
I don't want to go on a tangent, I just say,
I don't see farmers, driving Lexuses and BMWs. It's hard enough, you're making a living. Well, my husband works on a farm. He works on a fruit farm. So farmers deserve, the reason these exemptions are in here is because farmers deserve the exemptions. They don't deserve to be placed under all the standards
Get
that,
pounded on all your time you want.
well, but there's more to that.
There
The
is.
farmer is the original conservationist.
yes. It's,
I don't need to go further than that.
they would protect, like, a good farmer will take steps to protect their soil and conserve their soil. And that's what these practices are.
Okay, sorry for the tangent.
That's okay. So, remember that if you really can't figure out, I know the farmers hate regulators and they hate permits. But the best way to determine if an activity really is exempt is to file the RDA. It's not a permit. An RDA is not a permit to do work. An RDA is a request to determine if it's exempt or not. So it's a really small, quick thing. It's 21-day turnaround. It's 3 pages, hand-drawn sketches, the minimum submittal requirements. So just doing the RDA, I know it sounds painful, but it's the simplest way to really lock in whether it's exempt or not.
So tomorrow when I'm filming the IDA out to do the removal of the invasives on Lockbrook, it's gonna really hurt.
It's gonna hurt. You're gonna get paper cut. So
Just
There's
don't eat the
also-
crumbs, please.
there's more exemptions under emergencies, agricultural emergencies, which we won't get into tonight.
That's what I like.
New ag,
Emergency exemptions.
there's a whole bunch of limited projects under new ag with really specific limitations, something like, I think one of the limitations is you can create a new structure that's not more than 5,000 square feet. 4,000, thank you, 4,000 square feet. And it doesn't mean you don't need a permit, it just means it's allowed under an NOI.
I thought it was 5,000. No, what was?
No,
So,
I just saw.
I'm exempt as
Skip
far
that
as me
somewhere.
doing the restoration of a 10,000 square foot barn. Supposed to be
No
no-
comment, I don't know. I have to really look at the project, yeah.
3,000 fell under it.
So,
Come for a visit.
oh, my photo went way over. I think that happened when I converted it to PDF. So when you look at new agriculture projects, if it doesn't meet the normal maintenance and improvement exemption, but the work is still going to be used primarily and directly in agriculture, there can't be change in existing topography. So unfortunately, we see a lot of these similar soil projects where they start trucking in dump truck upon dump truck upon dump truck of waste soils from construction sites. That is not an exempt or even a limited project, ag project. You know, you have to use your fertilizers and pesticides in accordance with state and federal laws, and everything has to be done in a way to prevent erosion and sedimentation. But I think a good farmer would take that upon themselves anyway. It's what if the work is to support existing agriculture? It needs to avoid and minimize adverse impacts, no impacts to rare species, and there are limits and alterations of filling DBW. Remember, Conservation Commission really can only permit up to 5,000 square feet of alteration. I think this is the same slide, yep. Remember that not all agricultural activities are exempt. It's the activity that's exempt, not the land. You know, so you really want to say what activities are being proposed and is it exempt? Because it has to be normal maintenance or improvement. That's not a noun, like that's an activity, that's a verb, normal maintenance and improvement. Activity must be directly related to the production of the commodity, and it has to be used primarily for commercial purposes, like you're making money, it's for a profit. And there's lots of limitations to the exemptions. And in the end, it's the Conservation Commission that determines if it's exempt, and the easiest way to do that is the RDA. This is a hand sketch that we had from years ago. It's the same as this yes, no, this one. So you can ask, you know, does it qualify for exemption? Is it existing commercial production? Is it normal maintenance? Yes. Is it land and production? Yes. You know, then it's exempt. Let's see, I think we're just about done. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can contact your certifier. We'll come out, we'll look at the project, we'll look at plans, we'll help them. I do want to help the farmer get as many exemptions as possible. So, any questions?
You personally are going out doing some reviewing plans, ag plans for farmers.
No, but if a conservation agent needs help, I'll help. Yeah, start with the conservation agent.
We're right at time. Pat, do you have anything you want to ask or clarify? Autumn, Kevin?
No?
I'm all set. Thank you very much for
Sure.
coming
Yeah,
out.
we
Thank you for
really
your
appreciate
time.
I'm
you
enlightened.
joining us and
And
making
especially
an hour
people-
drive.
There's
No problem.
people that are involved in the ag business.
Yeah, I hope you saw there's tons of exemptions. Like, we don't want to get in the way of your normal maintenance and improvement projects. But then there are limitations, especially when the resource areas are involved. You always have to prevent erosion. Like, I know the one example we had in town, there was so much erosion and sedimentation migration off the property into adjacent resource areas. And just like forestry, you're all exempt as long as you're following the rules. But once you start shooting sediment onto your neighbor's property, it's a violation, we gotta get you back. And the goal is compliance, not punishment, so getting the site back into compliance.
It is, it should always be reaching out
Yep.
to help,
Now, how
make them
about
successful.
an exemption in regards to like your farm, backs up to a stream and the other side is not farmland, it's owned by someone else, and there's gonna be removal of invasives? Would you then be able to remove invasives on both sides of the stream, because the invasives could
Well,
easily
remember,
spread?
Mitigate from one side to the other.
It's what the field has been used, or the property has been used for historically.
So if the left side wasn't historically farm, could you restore both sides of the stream?
Oh, yeah, we
So
always
more
wanna see
natural-
streams restored,
Yeah,
it just might
but
need a
it
permit.
wouldn't be under an ag exemption for that other side of the
That's right,
stream.
they don't get the same, but
Yeah.
that land is not presently and primarily in
Yeah.
agricultural use, it's a
Okay.
completely different can of worms. Yep,
Yeah, but if the driveway is against the stream and the other side of the driveway is hayfield.
Yeah, it's a tough, that's a tough call.
It gets interesting.
I've got-
Okay, we're-
I've got-
but that's what
I've
plans
got
are
some
for,
of-
right?
I've
That's
got
what
some,
land-
I
you
have
see-
some of that land.
You see a
as well.
private drive going up to a private residence, and there's farm fields on either side, those farm fields are, for normal maintenance improvement, are exempt,
Yeah.
but the driveway and the private residence are not,
Not
you know? There
homeowner
is a line.
maintenance issue. Okay,
Awesome.
well, that was.
Thank you very much,
we
Mia.
missed
Thank you.
Just about everything you've talked
Here, I can
about
leave
just
this one
now.
too.
Thank you.
And that's
You're
great.
welcome. This is online, so if you know, don't be afraid to just rip out pages and hand it to people, and then just print out new ones when you
And
get
then give it
back.
to us
Okay,
people
and I
that
can
need-
email you all
need
the sides.
copies, because we need
There's
copies.
a lot of stuff outdated right
So-
now. They're trying hard to get
Yeah, we are gonna update
everything
it.
all up to speed
Yeah.
again.
It
Well,
is-
thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Can I call you?
Thank you, Mia.
Yeah,
Come
anytime.
down and
Talk
look
with
at what-
Autumn though
Yeah.
first. Start with Autumn, and then if you guys have questions, you can bring me in. Because remember, the jurisdiction is the Conservation Commission. I'm just here to help you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll
It
support you.
is,
We'll answer your questions.
I know she will. They did it. Mia, thank you
2.2.
so much. That was
It's
great.
okay.
That was
Thank you,
really
yeah,
good.
Jimmy.
Thank you,
I-
Mia.
I appreciate it.
2.2.
The new
2.2, 758, NOI, TWB 2024-166. We do not have a DEP number, and this is a continuance from, our last meeting. Chris McKenzie is joining us.
Yes,
Good evening, sir.
good evening, everyone. I see Bill Rideout is here as well, online
Thanks
there.
again, Mia. Drive safe.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chris, for being patient.
Yeah, I haven't submitted a revised plan yet. We haven't, and I assume you've checked recently, I keep checking. We haven't received a DEP file number, so there's no comments from them yet. Trying to avoid multiple renditions of the plan being out there. The revisions that are gonna go on the plan at this point are really just calling out the building work and showing that the sump pump is gonna be disconnected, it's gone. There's no foundation underneath the proposed building. So those are minor revisions, so I didn't really wanna put out a whole nother set of plans based on
That's,
such little stuff.
I
And there
think
may
that-
be more down the road, I don't know.
yeah.
And certainly, obviously, we'll get a final plan once we know everything that's gotta be on it, into you guys. Bill's here, he might have some information regarding the concerns that were brought up by the, abutter, by the neighbor. We've done some additional research, I spoke with Stan Dillis, our surveyor. He looked at the deeds for the property, found no reference to any of the
So-
items that they mentioned. And I've seen no evidence, and according to, I forget who the email was from. I think it was from Eric, from the town administrator. No evidence has been offered by the abutters.
So
That
That's
claims are-
that was just a random,
That's not in our jurisdiction.
No, it's nothing,
Yeah.
that's really not, that would be between the litigant and
We're reviewing
the
the project
the
from the
butter
conservation.
and town council.
last I heard, that
Nothing to do
property
with our
transferred to the town
Doesn't matter.
late
Yeah.
forties.
30.
No,
30.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I'm,
though.
I'm gonna just shut that down. Like,
Good, because I
doesn't-
don't wanna have it as a concern in any way, shape, or form with that language that was thrown at us. Done.
There's no such language in the deed. I read the deed myself.
Good. I don't wanna have
I
to
found-
read or hear it again.
Bill, do you have anything you wanna,
No, I was just gonna pass on the fact that Eric, is really the person responsible for the land and he doesn't see any problems. And, basically Eric said it's not the Conservation Commission's bailiwick anyway. So he basically just said ignore this issue.
So we will.
And he signed the application as the town, because it is owned by the town.
I'm
Done.
not gonna say we're gonna ignore it, but it's outside of our
It's
jurisdiction.
outside.
and it-
We're not gonna
it is
ignore it,
not
but
going
yeah.
to be discussed.
There's no reason for us to discuss it in any way. There's nothing to do with.
But we get a percentage, we had it dropped on our lap, so there's some
It's
degree
a
of.
public, it's a public hearing,
Public hearing.
and it was noted,
Yeah,
but
it
we
was
have to stay
concerning.
in our jurisdiction.
Moving forward.
So again, unfortunately, we have to continue this regardless. Was there anything else?
There was a comment, Autumn, that was on your list there, something about a 25-foot buffer. It's just a 35-foot shown on there. There's no 25, so.
Yeah, we don't.
I won't-
Yeah, you had
Number
25
25.
listed. I think it was in relation to the Title V.
Oh, that's a Title
Right,
V
that's the
special
Title
approval
V
that we have to
special
ask
approval.
for. Right,
Okay.
right.
So the Conservation Commission was looking for a
35.
35-foot vegetated buffer waiver, since you're going to be
Yeah.
proposing to work within the 35-foot
Yeah.
buffer.
So either
35 to 25.
We're putting it in pavement area.
Yeah.
There's no vegetation there now.
No,
Not to speak.
no.
But
So,
I
hold on.
understand the point. Yeah, we can put that together and, obviously without a file number.
So you're extending the asphalt out into that area?
No, that is asphalt, it's right at the edge of the asphalt.
Yeah.
And also where the additions are going.
Yeah, those are shown on there.
Okay,
Those are shown
Yeah.
on there.
so that's within the 35-foot.
Right, the
Right.
two additions, there's a small addition on the back for the
So
bathroom and
the
janitor
waiver
closet.
just needs to state, for work to be conducted to include,
And that side addition's getting torn down, right?
well, and replace.
It's getting replaced,
And replaced down.
but without
Remove
a full foundation, it'll be a
Remove and
slab
replace.
on grade, so
Yeah.
no sump pump.
Perfect, beautiful.
And, I'll put a note on the plan about that pump line to be removed or whatever.
You might,
Plugged. The old existing.
It's gonna be
yeah, I
removed.
think there should be guidance on how to plug that hole in the wall, because obviously you're not gonna just put dirt behind it. I'm sure you guys have a detail, I'm not gonna,
Yeah,
I don't feel a need to discuss it further unless someone else does,
No,
obviously.
no.
Yeah, they just plug that
Yeah.
pipe, and cut it off and plug it.
Correct.
However,
Yeah.
one thing I'm curious to know is, I know it's only going to be a frost wall, but the groundwater should we have a plan for dewatering?
Dewatering,
The existing
Oh,
top of the
construction,
concrete,
you mean?
Yes.
Oh,
the
I-
existing top of concrete staying the same?
For the most part, yeah, I'd have to
Not gonna
look
be
at the
down
exact
there,
numbers, but it's not
Jimmy,
it's not
that
gonna
much.
change much.
Well, the groundwater's so freaking high this
3
year.
feet, ain't it?
There, it depends.
Wasn't it? Didn't I see the test holes 3
Well,
feet?
The test hole is all in fill, so,
Yeah, but when it was over 3 feet down, your excavation is gonna be deeper than that.
well, I don't know if they're gonna really excavate much, they're gonna take
That's
out
what I
the
mean.
foundation,
That's not gonna
more or
be
less. They're
down
gonna
deep.
foundation right in the same
The biggest
spot.
expedition is gonna be the tight tank.
Yeah, but that's not all gonna be below.
That's the big,
No,
Right,
deepest.
oh, yeah, the
I just want to
excavation
make
for
sure
the
that
tank's gonna be
it's covered
more
so that,
extensive than the foundation.
Well, I guess if there was gonna be deep water, you have to, what, you're gonna pump it into the catch basin?
I don't know.
About all you're gonna be able to do.
The only thing you're doing is pump it in that catch basin.
leave it
Yeah,
be.
and there's really no other.
Leave it be?
I don't think
Is
that-
that everyone good with leave it be then?
I think, I'm okay with that, because
What else can
the
be
test,
done?
the test holes weren't indicative of groundwater, that were gonna be above the elevation of where if you're not changing, you're not dropping the existing foundation down, your top of concrete staying the same,
Yeah,
as
but
I
well,
understand it is.
The
Your
tight tank, how
excavation.
about the tight tank?
Right.
You're gonna
Well,
open
the
that
tight
hole
tank-
up.
the tight tank,
You're gonna
that's
have to
gonna-
keep
that would be
pump.
a-
So
that
is
would
it
be a
acceptable
problem.
practice to just pump it, obviously you're gonna have silt sock or whatever on the end of it or at the inlet of it. Probably in the inlet, it's just gonna be surrounded by stone, but,
Hopefully they're gonna be doing it in August when it's not a problem.
well,
Yeah,
hopefully, but
You know.
so we know, you're more
That is a
concerned
good-
about.
that
you
is
got a hole that you're gonna dig, you gotta leave it open for 24 hours or so. You gotta keep it
For inspection.
dewatered because the tape might float.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a spot that you're gonna wanna leave something open for very long
No,
without
oh,
anybody in attendance.
I doubt it will be, but you still
No.
have to, you still have to
No.
get that tank set.
Right, right. I
Not,
know.
okay, so
Most of
most
the
dig and
time,
backfill the same day, you still have to get that tank set.
right, most of the time, those tanks go in, they dig it in the morning, tank comes in the
At
afternoon.
lunchtime,
they
they're
backfill
there
it in,
dropping
it's
it
done.
in.
I don't know why that would be any different, Jim.
I just,
In fact, that's probably gonna be prompted to go that way due to the ground. But in the big picture, maybe you should visit the dewatering in case there's gonna be.
We set that tank ourselves. We'd have it sitting on the trailer, we'd dig the hole and set the tank right there.
Done.
either way, you know, you have a schedule, you follow it, and, but just even that hour, you can have water in that hole.
Respect
Yeah.
the chairman's thoughts of being safe with the whole thing. Good
I
job.
just wanna,
What do you wanna propose? Do you wanna
Touch all the
propose?
bases,
Do you
dot
wanna
all the.
propose,
I'm not proposing,
anything to, well, or should we make a note that if there is groundwater at the time, depending on, when the tank is set, at the time of the year,
Create a
if there's-
contingency.
just,
well,
put a silt sock around it and
Yeah,
a stone catcher in there and pump it into the
Chris,
catch basin in the street.
we shouldn't engineer it for him. I think Chris can figure it out, because even if it pumps into the street, as long as it's clean-ish, clean, really.
Yes,
Yeah.
No, clean, and then it will flow into those catch basin.
Right, one of those, what are they, silt sacks. that
Yes.
they call in the catch basin.
Right.
yeah.
Pumps it,
I
keeps all the turbidity in that sack and da. All right,
I think that's
it was
fair, and I think
discussed and we
it's
can do.
reasonable. I don't think it's an extreme condition, so we will.
Right.
you know, if
There's
it's
a good
outlined on
chance
the
that
plan.
depending on what the time of year they do it, they may not find any
Yep.
water. We did do a hole over there and we didn't hit any actual water, but it was all fill, so we couldn't really get an estimated on it. But
And
as you
again, it
know,
depends on the.
My
seasonal-
assessment earlier was that, I didn't see any evidence of water. It was down 4 or 5 feet.
Right.
Modeling was at 4 or 5 feet. That's a pretty good indication of where
But
the
we
water
had, I
level
think,
is.
4 feet
You're not-
over at the.
You're not changing your top of concrete level's not changing,
No,
elevation
but
isn't changing. You're not gonna be in the ground
Again-
lower than 3 feet, so
Well,
mathematically it should work.
but you have the tank,
But,
so
yeah.
regardless, we
But
all
the tank,
agree, that hole won't be open for long. Just that little window. I just want to make sure that it's covered. I'm not trying to make a big deal out of.
Yeah, any dewatering.
And that's just,
Yeah.
that's gonna have to get filled right in.
Standard-
And one of the
standard
other-
dewatering practice to be used.
One of the other questions Autumn put in her list was stockpile location. I'm assuming it's just gonna get trucked right out.
Yeah, there's really not gonna be any
So
stockpile.
maybe I would make
No
note of it
room to
on the.
stockpile.
Well,
No, you can't, but our regulation states stockpile location to be noted on the plan.
Material taken immediately
So
off
if it's
site.
if it's in the notes,
Offsite.
it covers
Yeah,
that, suffices the,
Offsite,
our
that's it.
requirement.
we have, some notes in our, erosion control area detail. And, we can certainly state something in that.
That would be great. Thank you, Chris.
And we know you hate revising stuff as much as we,
I just like to get it all done at once.
Yeah.
and that's our goal.
Again and again.
I know, and that's our goal, and I know you guys have a time constraint and a lot of other stuff being pushed and thrown at you for these projects, so. Autumn, is there anything else that you saw or had concern with, or anyone else on the commission, Pat, Jim, Kevin? I don't,
I'm
Fine, I'm good.
satisfied.
These guys are great.
Yeah.
huh?
I'm certain that Chris is gonna take care of that. And
Yeah, no,
it's all
good.
gonna be well. Thank you.
I think, like Chris said, that tank is gonna have to go in, get dug, go in, covered, done. It's not
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be
not a
that
do it.
overnight.
Right. So the
Not-
stockpiling,
It's just not an issue.
they're only gonna stockpile whatever they need to be able to backfill the tank afterwards. Same thing as the foundation.
They're gonna put in a couple of dump trucks and they're gonna let it sit there and take it next door and bring it back.
Bye-bye.
I don't
No,
want
Time it right, they can use
Yeah.
the excavation from the tank to backfill the
Chris,
foundation.
there is some, question about the status of the stream. Is it perennial? Is it not? And if it's not, do you have,
Millie's River.
Remember,
Minnie's Brook.
mini?
Mia
Minnie's
mentioned.
Brook. Keep in mind, Minnie is the lady that sold that land
To the town. Yep,
Minnie
Yeah.
Knight.
Minnie Knight.
So, and the only evidence of any name is the sign out there on the side of it, on the side of the road. It's not on the USGS maps, and we did a calculation of the area. We came up with 0.35 square miles, so it's under a half mile, and it's well under the mile required for a river status. So
So we,
it's gonna be at least a half mile to even be looked at and analyzed further to see if it might be a river, but it doesn't even meet that threshold.
Where did you get that information from?
We calculated, I thought I sent that over to you guys.
Okay.
I can.
Do you mind sending that over?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
just,
Greg did a calculation, the DP or some
so
website has a
it's
calculation.
the burden of proof. As long as
you're
it's approved to us.
concerned about maybe we're getting into a cold water fishery
No,
or you,
it's a-
but,
If it's a
Still-
perennial stream, then it has a different buffer.
okay.
So like Mia
Oh,
said, if it has
Okay,
a mile
But,
area,
yeah, no,
Yeah.
keep going.
yeah. What is it?
does
No, you keep going. I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, I know, but I need some help with
I think
What?
it was a
Mia
square mile.
said, a square mile of.
Yeah.
But
that
Chris
isn't
can
a
send
square.
over the calculations.
We do
Okay.
have it's the USGS stream stats report, which
Right,
I did
Chris
right,
did send,
right.
Chris did send that over already, yes.
Thank you.
So,
It came
I
out
mean,
to
yeah.
0.5 square miles, so.
Of length, so simple enough, we're good. Nice job once again,
You good with
Christopher.
that?
Yeah.
Good. So,
We're done with 65 right now.
well, no, we need a motion to continue it to,
We don't have
We
a
need-
DP
oh,
number,
hold on.
so hold on.
hold on. We have a,
Yeah.
What's the
Lisa,
next meeting?
hold
is-
on.
Hold on,
We
we have
got
a
a member of the,
on the butter.
Oh,
if you don't mind introducing yourself and your address and,
My
your
name is Jared McCaffrey. I live at 6 Spalding Street. My mother's the abutter at 6 Spalding Street. She can't be here today, so I'm representing her. I recognize the time constraints and please help me to do my best to respect your time.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to freak out. I have two things. One is just a simple question. I've looked at your answer to. Is this project a change of use?
is this
that,
project?
no,
using a what?
Jimmy, I can answer that. That is not
No,
non-jurisdictional.
not,
So no-
we have no
So
jurisdiction on that.
we can't issue or we can't.
We can't comment
I
either way.
appreciate that. I'm not trying to trap anybody.
Nope.
I really appreciate the info. Non-
Sorry, Jimmy.
Okay. My job, I have to give out, this is, a list of concerns that are 80% of them are much more relevant to this particular group this time, from Gloria's lawyer. I recognize time is an issue, so I don't know the best way I can distribute it to.
Best way would be to
Yeah.
hand them to us.
Hand it to us and
Well, no, or bring them up to us and then,
we can get
our
it down
agent
there.
and our land use, coordinator
Very much.
can issue, or can discuss
Yeah, I
further.
know this is
Awesome.
issue with time tonight.
Jimmy, do you want to go through these now? Okay,
No, sir.
I would like to raise, just, this is partly my curiosity, there is a historical gas station, a filling station at that site, which is referenced in town documents, and, I'm curious if I'm just raising the issue because it raises a lot of environmental questions for the site, the abutters, even the Squanicook, waterways nearby, if there's an environmental hazard because of a gas station on the site being passed.
that is,
I'll leave the other issues.
nope, that's fine.
No, which,
So I'm gonna run through these. This project is change of use. We can't, no comment. Change of use will require a whole new septic design. There's a disagreement, that is not our jurisdiction, that's, health departments. Firehouse building itself is in, a floodplain. Yes, it is within a floodplain. The footprint of the building is not changing. There's no change in
The building itself, according to the flood maps, is not in the 100-foot floodplain.
the one.
The 100 years, sorry, the
100 year, yeah.
100 foot, that would be scary. 100 year floodplain.
Yeah.
Not like the
Okay.
church property that we looked at.
Yeah, what is it, across the street?
Yeah, it actually comes up.
It comes
On the side of the road.
Yeah.
It's on the same side of the road, but it's on the
And
edge of
it's,
the road.
it's noted on the plan
Yeah.
that that's a requirement of our rate. No, I'm just
It's
saying.
it's not in it, sure.
There's no room to park past 25, that's planning board. Due to previous land use as a gas station, there is a resultant environmental can of worms full of questions, concerns, which need to be addressed before any ground can be safely disturbed. Environmental hazard concerns are relevant, not just for the parcel, but for its butters, potentially Squanicook related waterways. We have not seen gas station specific concerns addressed yet. That at this time, in my opinion, and anyone in this room or at this table can correct me, that is hearsay, but it is on the property owner and,
The attached document refers to a filling station at that site.
Excuse me, Chairman Stockton, raise your hand and ask to be. Okay, thank you.
if there is an issue, I'm going to assume that there will be proper,
Legal
Be addressed.
is addressed it and looked
it will
into,
be properly
vetted.
handled.
Okay,
Addressed.
And, you know, if there is further concern, I feel that those concerns can be voiced to DEP. But again, they're probably gonna tell you the same thing.
yeah,
It-
that's really the only,
It's not a requirement
it's the
to do
only,
soil testing. And so it's not our jurisdiction at that point. If there's an issue, then it will become our problem.
Correct.
Jessica,
Yes.
I had spoken to you at the office if you had any ability to look, to find out if there were any tanks, if there was any history on the property of a gas station, were you able to come up with any information, removal or anything of the sort?
I did a brief cursory review. I did not find anything during my initial search, but of course, if any abutters are still concerned, they are welcome to contact Town Hall directly
Indeed.
with evidence or documents indicating such a past use of the property.
Okay, how far back were you able to go? 80s, 90s?
I believe I just looked at the DEP database for petroleum related sites.
DEP has a database for all of that.
Correct. They have a history of
Enforcement,
all of it.
and it's all separated, so you can do a pretty extensive look.
Yep.
At least anything that had happened during their time.
Why I had reached out to Jessica to get that history so we could have a better feel of what we're looking at. If there's a problem, of course, we're gonna be proactive and find out. We gotta.
Due diligence.
I don't wanna see that
Well,
tank.
no, we don't have to do, the applicant does.
The applicant.
But regardless, they're under the assumption that the property is
Clear,
is clean.
clear.
There is no further, in my opinion, unless we want to open that can of worms, which I don't feel
Mm-mm.
necessary for this.
No, sir.
It's not on us to do
Nope, Kevin's right.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that. The document I attached is the 1935 town report, which says that this particular land that was bought for the fire station is part of a lot formerly occupied by an old store, more recently run as a filling station by Mr. Gerard, which is
Okay,
where I believe I'm finding it.
noted, and we have a copy of that.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
and you can reach out to our office regarding that issue further. 6 issues have arisen concerning clear title to the subject firehouse lot was the lack of aid that is not our jurisdiction, is that there enough property involved with parcel only measures out of our jurisdiction.
You wanna read that? Take a peek.
Concerning the parcel, butters have a valid claim in adverse possession because through, again, not our. What negative environmental impact would the project have on the abutting 100-year-old flood zone, and on bordering vegetated wetland? Which we have discussed. I feel that we have discussed. Does everyone else at the table agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yeah.
Jessica? Sorry, we're gonna drag you into this.
Okay, no, I agree, and that's what the standard order of conditions and your Townsend Wetland bylaw conditions will aim for best practices to preserve those resource areas.
But as part of the public hearing, we have discussed it.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your concerns and providing us with a written list and the copy of the town report from whenever that was 1935. So we need a motion and a second to continue this to our March 13th meeting.
I'll make a motion to
I
continue.
pointed to you, Kev, it was your turn, I did last time.
I'll make a motion
We
to
share.
continue the public hearing on the 65 Main Street firehouse to March 4th?
13th.
March
13th, yeah.
13th, I'm sorry, meeting, conservation meeting, I'm sorry.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Oh, Pat got you on that one.
okay, that's fine. March 14th is the next one?
Yes.
Yep.
March
13th.
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 Do we need a roll call vote, please?
James Dorian, yes.
James Gates, yes.
Kevin, yes.
Pat John, yes.
I'm sorry.
We're sorry. We appreciate it.
I knew there was no file number, so I didn't expect resolution. Yeah. So, we need that file number soon, and obviously for the next meeting, we'll have that current revised and
I think everything else is covered, so there's no, it should be a pretty,
Straightforward.
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Got some interesting reading there.
So moving on, 3.1, ZBA referral, mandatory referral notice, 3 Wheeler Road.
That's up above the farm to the right. Yes. What is that all about?
It's a permit renewal.
Right,
Earth removal?
you get to, I can't be part of that.
Because it's scary.
What is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Scary's earth
Oh,
removal,
you're already looking for an extension on the other one?
but we have to provide comments in the comments. Does this come in front of the commission again?
And you gotta remember,
Within.
This is just a renewal of his earth
Butter.
removal permit.
I know, so
Yeah.
we're,
He's in a butter. You're in a butter.
I'm an employee, but we
Yeah,
have,
I'm
so
sorry,
our,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
that gives 2 people, so
So-
we have to invoke the rule of necessity at that point.
correct, because I can't get into that. I'm on a butter. I had to do this 4 years ago when Eddie came forward. Or no,
I
Doc.
don't think we review it, the permits, and
Let me-
we can give comments on, we can give comments to ZBA, but I don't think it's.
Okay. So it's the first part, but referral notice, please review the attached application and relay to the zoning board of appeals any questions or concerns you may have. This referral is required under 145-65 of the Townsend zoning bylaw. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 11, comments should be provided within 35 days. Failure to make or make recommendations shall be deemed lack of opposition. Chapter 48 also requires you to notify the applicant of your comments. Applicant is Gary Shepherd, Focus address 3 Wheeler Road, parcel ID Assessors Map 4, Block 9, Lot 1. Date of hearing is 6:45 PM, March 20th, 2024. Referral is February 9th, 2024. The Townsend Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a virtual public hearing on March 20th, 2024 at 6:45 PM via Zoom on the application of Gary Shepherd for a special permit for earth removal under zoning bylaw 145-146, 145-65, and 145-40. The applicant is requesting a special permit to continue existing operations and remove gravel of approximately 109,000 yards from the property at 3 Willow Road.
Can I ask why does he need it removed or what?
No, it's just a renewal. He's
Oh.
No.
he's
She's asking
asking.
why.
Asking about renewal or removal?
Removal.
Oh, the reason that it's gotta be removed, or they originally filed for an earth removal permit, is no different than what we would do in our nature of business. Their grades have to be changed, to accommodate maybe a future building. The slopes are too steep as they are, to maintain, as in maybe his case, a hayfield. Don't know the circumstances totally, but, what he's done is he's had an earth removal permit, and that's been in force, permitted, and all he's trying to do is extend that permit out for another period of another
So,
year or two.
One of the reasons they do that is there's gravel, so stone is
Products on the property.
product that's in the ground that has a value and it's a commodity. So it allows them to excavate that soil, but then restore it to, however it was originally permitted, which in this case will be hayfields.
Okay, so they won't bring anything in
No,
or?
he's gonna be removing material.
Well, I know, he's removing that. I'm just
He's
saying.
got basically
This is
a
an
steep
earth
hill and it's
removal.
I just
It's
know.
too difficult for him to, it's a little too difficult.
Let her ask
for
her
him
a
to
question.
Get out, okay.
I just know behind me, and
The
if
sand.
anybody, yeah, you know, they kept saying, you know, yeah, you can remove this, you can remove that, and before you knew it, there was so much removed out of there.
The circumstances were
Must have
totally
been
different.
Yeah,
That's what I feel.
It was a-
I know, so, yeah, that's
Different-
why
a
I'm
different owner.
asking.
And partially because of things like that that have happened over the years. The town, kind of strictly regulates and kind of oversees what happens a little bit more thoroughly today than they did many years ago when that fellow was, doing the work out behind you. So he's got an active earth removal, facility going on there. He's removing material and taking it as he needs it. And there's no different than we have the same thing in town as
So
well.
the other boards are checking on it too?
Yeah.
And everything
So-
to make sure everything is up and up.
That's right.
And you can
See,
see the plans if you want that show there's erosion and sediment control installed and maintained.
Can I cut in? Because a very obvious fact has not been mentioned, that there is already an existing order of conditions on this property.
Right, that's been
Right,
active for
And
four,
it's
So
active.
I have it open.
4 or 5 years
That
now.
should have been mentioned already. It was initially
It's getting
issued
there.
on November 2020, and last November 2023, an extension request was approved. So the order of conditions is currently active through November 5th, 2026.
So
So
the
unless you
deadline's
have any other
26.
comments or concerns that are within your jurisdiction,
Probably gotta be-
So we were
that's-
just trying
that's
to
what you
bring
should be
Pat-
focused on.
Pat, that's fine. We understand that Pat had asked a clarifying question and we wanted to provide an answer for her.
Okay.
But it seems like Pat's been interrupted.
No, that's okay. That's
Do
okay.
you,
No, it
did
isn't.
did your question get answered though?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it did, because
More oversight today than back, and I know your concern, I share your concern back then.
Oh, okay, the whole
What
time.
pit was that
I forgot
again?
this time.
Dunbar?
Yeah,
Down, out back of the departments over here. 13.
And
On a daily basis.
So, there's an order of conditions, an existing order of conditions that's been extended to, 2026.
that's the targeted completion.
No, that's just
No,
when the
that's just,
order of conditions expires. November
And then-
2026, Jessica?
And then
think so.
extension is still
Yes.
available.
we take
Moving
a
on.
couple.
So you need a vote on no
Abstain.
comment?
Abstain.
We don't have anything on the
No.
floor yet.
Yeah, we just, I'll make a motion to, no comment, that everything permits appears to be okay as it is.
Are you saying I chime in?
No, you can't, you got to abstain because you're in a butter.
Correct.
Somehow he's gonna have to plead the fifth and.
Well, no,
Can't
not-
plead the fifth. What do we call
Abstain. Or,
No.
it? He can't abstain because
Invoke
we
the
have,
rule of
he's
necessity.
gotta invoke the rule of necessity because we gotta have at least 3 people to vote.
That's what I'm saying. You can't jump out. If you feel comfortable, I would be okay saying, legally, do I have to abstain due to being in the butter?
In a normal commission with the 7 commissioners, yes.
Yes. All right.
Because we are a commission of 4 people out of 7, we have to have a minimum of 3 people in order to open a meeting or vote.
Correct.
And or vote. In order for us to do that, there is something called the rule of necessity, which allows, and as long as you make it known, you can invoke that and
All right, I will. That's fine.
do that. So you're gonna do that?
Yep,
So you have no financial gain and or
absolutely
loss
not.
in this permit.
Want
Not
to see,
that-
move it forward,
But,
complete.
well, so you have a motion. Who has a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote.
James in favor. James DeRoyan in favor.
Kevin
James
Smith?
Gates abstain.
Right.
Kevin Smith in favor?
That generally is.
So you need to write Kathy Spofford a note stating that you invoked the rule of necessity.
All right,
I don't know, I'll pull it up on my phone of how I've written it in the past.
okay, do that
And
so
then you
that
have
I
to
gotta go
give it
see
to her.
Kathy. Okay. Let's not get stuck on that. Let's move on.
Yep.
So
Super. It's getting late.
Jimmy, you get to sign it because you're the clerk.
Sign what?
This.
Okay.
Just like clerk after, please.
What's that?
Just after you sign your name, just put clerk.
Sign on the bottom?
You're just saying yes, are you sure? Because I don't know.
That's the only place to sign.
Right.
I'll throw this half in my buckets.
28
Go
today.
away. Yes,
Buckets wouldn't blow away.
27 today? You did one blew off. I went down, put it back on. 28?
oh man, must have been one.
It was close to the edge, so I threw it back on.
It's awful nice of you, James.
Well, nothing short of a peach when you ask me, you know what I'm saying? All right, done.
Okay,
You can write clerk on that. Initial it JG.
That's them. 3.2, MACC training expense approval for autumn, unit 106 and unit 203.
$65 each. This time we're doing it ahead, so if you do approve it, then I can sign up for the trainings. If not, then I
We're
won't.
gonna approve it, so.
And
Make
we're
a
starting to
motion.
get some money in the account.
The classes are paid with a different account.
With what? WPA?
I think so.
I think it's WPA. I motion to appropriate $130 for classes of the nature of MACC for Mrs. Bach in the amount of $130,
Russ
right?
Buck?
Isn't that?
Yes. Do we have a second?
Second,
Second.
yes, yes.
Kevin got that one.
Good job. Nice job, Ken. All right.
Roll
Next.
call vote, please.
James Ryan, yes.
James Gates, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
Pat General, yes.
That was correct, right? There's two passes, 65 each,
Yes.
and 30.
Correspondence,
Just didn't want to write a check, we can't.
oh,
You added a 3.3.
yeah, I know, but thank you. I appreciate that. They're gonna link the back file. They actually are. They're not just gonna jerk our chain. Like they have been.
This is
There-
DOT,
They
Mass Dot.
reached out to Jessica and said that they were going to backfile.
Okay,
Okay, that sounds great.
Jessica, comment?
Can I comment to that? Yes. So, the original plan in writing was that DOT would file an NOI, would retroactively file an NOI by mid-February for the work they did unannounced at the end of October 2023, which happened due to a collapsed head wall on the culvert, and then the embankment above the culvert caved in. And so as you probably saw driving by, the shoulder of 119 westbound was collapsing into that wetland, which is also right in front of 61 Edward Road. Because there were direct resource area alterations through that work, that unannounced work, they were going to retroactively file an NOI, and then in like 2 more years, they were going to file a new NOI completely for full culvert replacement through there. So the current culvert, I think it might even be considered a bridge, is like 3 or 4 or 5. It's kind of varying with feet in diameter, but it is so significantly undersized, obviously, as you can see how much back flooding occurs through that area and even over to the side of the fire station. So what we should do now, because the current plan is still 2 NOIs, is issue something or have a DOT rep come in to talk to you guys just to get confirmation that one big happy NOI coming in a year or so is sufficient for this.
Interesting.
So you notified them, what, it was around Thanksgiving or a little after Thanksgiving that was what we were requesting. So they've had ample time to
Right.
throw something
I'm
together.
gonna find
Those,
them.
yeah, I mean, those were the time frames that they gave us.
Boy, that was asked.
Was it?
I asked that.
Good job, kid. Good job. I'm proud of you. Little money maker.
Well,
So
thank you.
just, yeah, what would you guys like to do? Or do you want me to invite a DOT representative to your next meeting just to?
Well, if they
through
don't
this.
get on the stick and they
I think
exceed
they
our
should come
time
to our
limits,
next meeting.
yeah, we'll start fining them.
Did you hear that part?
You guys talked at the same time, so no.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, if they don't, move forward in good faith, we'll have to start fining them.
Okay.
Well, it gets a lot of people's attention, doesn't it?
It does.
Why don't you invite them to our next meeting?
All right. Is that consensus?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, I will invite somebody to your March 13th meeting just for a quick appointment. And
Make sure
you guys
they're
can
from the
decide
DEP,
them.
please.
Is that
What's that?
DEP or is Mass Dot?
Mass Highway.
Mass
Oh,
Highway.
Mass Highway, sorry. It's getting late.
And that's not even,
Mass
Mass-
Highway.
It's DOT. I screwed
DOT,
that. I
not
screwed up
DEP.
my joke.
That's
The
all
one
right,
joke
yeah.
I had for the night. I screwed it up, guys.
maybe you should practice more. DOT.
Learn from Jim.
All right, I will reach out.
No.
I will reach out tomorrow then to confirm something.
Okay, thank you.
Highway.
I think we got through it, chumps.
We're getting there.
Also,
So,
we gotta sign some.
no, well, yeah, we did. Hold on. So, 5/1 Annual Citizen Planner Training Collaborative Conference. Does this pertain to us?
Mm, in some ways, but mostly not. But it was
Illegal
asked to be
landscape
shared
with
with you.
firearm bylaws. That's nice.
Yeah, site plan review, it's a training, that they're hosting, it's a whole day. There's different topics.
Okay.
Yeah,
And it's where
So,
are they doing the training?
it's March 16th at
Holy
Holy
Cross.
Cross College.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy, they serve lunch.
It doesn't matter. I go to the VFW for lunch. No,
That would be a drink.
Laurel and. Go to planning. Okay, so this is mostly a planning board thing, but there could be some stuff that pertains to conservation. There's also, 5.1.
But just an occasional.
Let me find it. So 5.1, this is at the Prescott Center next Wednesday. It's free. 7 to 8:30. It's dam removal and the benefits to it, and covering a general overview of why and how unsafe dams are removed and what changes you might expect to see in
Where
your
is it?
community as a result. Prescott Center in Groton, the old school.
yeah.
When is that?
Street school.
Next Wednesday, 6 to
And that would be
7:30.
like if they approached us to remove Adams Dam. You know,
Right,
they would do an overview of that to find out, is it feasible? Is it something that would be beneficial? Is it something, you
Right.
know, what would be the worth
So-
of,
I'm not a firm believer in that myself.
right?
Either-
Wait till you
Either
get
way.
your present.
So-
You're gonna love it. I'm so psyched.
I'm gonna go do it. I don't care,
I think I might go too.
but
Are you going?
I think I'm gonna go.
It's not that
Really?
I
far.
signed up for it.
Really?
It's quick and easy. It's right
When's the
there.
date? 16th?
I thought you were a fisherman.
No, the 6th.
The 6th. Oh, you don't want that.
So,
It's in the left
Um,
headwaters, go right down, right over here.
Nice
so that's
healthy
that.
fish.
You'll learn. We'll go
6.0 or 6.0, items for discussion next meeting. 88 88 Meadow Road, notice of intent. It has been filed, but they are missing a site plan still. The other thing is they have not paid their fines. Now,
And what is that at again, young man?
About $3,000, or north of $3,000.
3,300.
You wrote
You wrote it right
All right, 88, 3,300. All right. Isn't that
Okay,
could you enlighten everybody about the 1.25-inch binder this
so
individual
all
sent our way?
eloquently prepared.
200 pages.
Yeah, 200-page narrative,
Outstanding job on it. I gotta give him good, you know. You can't not. Outstanding.
Pat, do you have anything you want to?
No, not a word, no, I'm good.
Jessica, do you have anything else?
I think there was a question, I have two notes. I'll just start with administrative. Since it's not a complete application, there will be no publishing for a public hearing at the next meeting. So if anything, it would just be like a discussion. And then number two is I think the applicant was looking for an answer on if he submitted any part of an NOI, if his fees would stop accumulating. So I think that needs to be determined because I think that was a motivation behind submitting a partial NOI was in hopes of
To stop
stopping
this.
his weekly fine.
Bless you. Well, we would consider waiving the fines if he joined Conservation Commission.
Anybody that can produce a binder like that for a simple thing is,
We want him.
Is that allowed?
Outstanding job.
we probably.
That doesn't
could.
sound very kosher to negotiate
Okay,
that.
Right way to
So,
say it.
okay, but let's pull this together so we can finish out
Yeah.
strong. Do we want to, like,
Can we agree to bid?
just because he submitted a partial,
He's gotta finish it. He's gotta finish it. Simple as that.
and then if the fines are still owed,
So be it.
we can discuss fines,
Yeah.
but I agree with Jimmy.
He's gotta finish it.
Absolutely.
And it
Irregardless, it's gonna
isn't
be
like
finished.
it's below his grade to know how to finish it. He's not in
By the
any
looks of that
question of it.
paperwork that he's already done, a couple, 4 more pages should be a problem. He's done 200. 196 he didn't need.
He can't plead anything other than I'm way more educated in this than,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Do you
all.
have any
Let's move on.
I
Thoughts?
think we need to continue on with the fines and have him finish that, it's just,
I don't
I don't,
feel that this needs a vote either, but I think we all are in agreement that he needs to finish.
I don't think it needs a vote either. If you feel
Submit the
comfortable,
complete
right,
application.
how do you vote on somebody doing their due diligence? I vote on 88 Meadow Road doing their due diligence. Finish it,
It's in our regulations.
right?
he's gonna finish it. He's gonna finish it, period.
As said,
And I'm
your
sure-
choice, Mr. Chairman, to put a
I'm
vote.
sure he's going to.
Well,
The culvert's finished.
how long we're gonna give him to finish it?
I'm not gonna give him any time because he's already being fined, or at least that's my opinion.
The fine demonstrates
We-
time is up. The
We
fine
gave him a month
demonstrates,
to submit.
It's simply a couple of pages of documents that he's gotta submit.
not even that, really, Kevin.
Well,
Not even
there
that.
was 1 or 2 that he needed a plot line he didn't submit. Right?
Mhm.
That's
Site
what the
plan
only,
is what we're waiting.
site plan?
Site plan.
That's the only thing that he didn't submit.
Driveway, house.
He submitted,
Well, so we
you know,
can
190
discuss
pages of
leaving
extra
a
stuff.
full site plan. And it could just be a,
sketch. Oh, he needs a sketch.
That's what I'm saying. House, driveway,
Yeah.
road,
Yeah.
culvert,
To replace.
woods to the right,
replace
woods to the
culvert, yeah.
left. Done. It, nothing to do with NASA to get this completed. I don't get
so,
it.
but our regulations state,
Has to be done.
well, no, but it has to
To be
include certain
submitted
things.
so that it is on file of the work and the location, et cetera.
But there's.
He can request a waiver for that requirement.
And we can refuse the waiver too.
Yes, we can.
So
I'm not sure if, I mean, maybe at the town level you guys could do it, but at the state level, I don't know if they allow waivers from NOI plan requirements.
I
So
would
it's
say,
a charitable idea, but I'm not sure.
Thank you.
I think wisdom just spoke from the
Okay.
little bird,
Agreed.
you know?
Agreed.
Wisdom from the little bird, Jessica, you're
We're
right. I
doing
don't,
tonight,
Oh, the
Jess?
bird, I heard myrrh. That was
Oh.
another Jim word.
Get a sketch together for the Conservation Commission.
So he has to submit it.
Yeah, we can certainly get that.
And he needs to understand that he shouldn't expect an order of conditions until the fines are paid as well.
that's your foot, not mine. to put
Am I
down.
to continue issuing fines or no longer?
Yes.
Yes, okay, the last fine that was issued
Cameras are rolling,
was
yes.
600 per week, because it was doubled after 2 months of not filing. So continue at the 600, or should we change to something else?
It's a valid question.
I'd like to see the fines halted until he gets his paperwork in, if he get in there some time in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think
Whatever,
that's gonna
that's
work.
fine. Guys do what you want. I just-
Pat doesn't
I don't
think
feel
it's gonna
comfortable.
work, then
I don't
I'm going
feel
with Pat.
comfortable voting, to continue.
It's taken this
That's just me.
long.
I'm just one of a group here.
Once again, there's no excuse for the lack of attention to get it completed.
He had the intention to
No.
to submit a 200-page document.
What more can I say? Just cruising through that quickly, I looked at it, I went, and he can't complete this minor,
I didn't
minute,
see it, but,
what's going on? It's
um,
about as thick as this. All of it, that whole part about that
Yeah.
thick.
But he's
He
missing
needs-
he's missing the site plan, which is a
Missing what he needed.
Right.
state and town requirement.
so he needs to get that done,
I'm sure
but
he's probably.
we need to
hopefully gonna get it
continue
done,
on
but like I say, you guys
billing
do
him
what-
until we
what you
get it.
want.
It's not billing.
Well-
Well, we got two conversations going on.
The vote's gonna carry. You
Same
guys
thing.
gotta
So,
make a motion to.
no, I don't, we just continue the fining.
Business as
But
usual.
He
just-
needs to understand that we are serious about this. We are not going to issue the order of conditions,
Until things are taken care of.
no, until the fine is paid.
That's
And he
called
can come in and
things
talk to
taken
us
care of.
face to face and negotiate if he wants.
Correct. Then we'll come to the table. What,
Shall I invite him?
oh, for sure,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Why wouldn't we?
With his finished
Let's
paperwork.
get him,
No.
let's get him
With
in.
his finished paperwork.
Yes,
Right, that's,
So-
with a sketch, invite him in with a sketch and any
No,
documents.
he
that
has to
need.
submit that, and then you have the 21
21
days.
days.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
10.
too, yeah, so, yeah, have him get it, invite him to get that stuff into
10
you,
days.
ask him if he can give you that stuff, and then, once the clock ticks, it'll probably be in our March, no, we won't even be able to, probably until, end of March.
So we will not
or
consider-
First of April.
No,
No,
stay in your ground.
Yeah,
We're not gonna
Stay
consider
in your
stopping
ground.
the fines until the completed application is in. And
Then he comes in.
he is not
sign-
going to get a completed order of conditions, because this is recorded, he's
Not
not
this
going to
time.
get an order of
Yeah.
conditions
Yeah.
until the fines are paid.
Right.
Is there an ability, let's just stay the course with it. That's really the only way we can run the gambit.
So I think we've all we all are in agreement, I don't.
Correct? Let's have a motion and vote on this and move on. Right?
I don't think we need him,
We don't need one,
You sure?
just carries.
he doesn't have.
Yeah, because I can, as the conservation agent, I can issue fines when there's violation of the
And
Wetlands Protection
he-
Act.
Okay,
So-
then,
like I
Technically,
have
we
been,
can't discuss or open a hearing without a completed
all right.
application,
True.
so.
He's he's gotta get those documents into us, pretty much, end of story, and then we can figure out what we're gonna do at that point.
Mhm.
After the 21 days, because it's gotta sit in here, it's gotta be in 21 days for it. We can
Is
even
it
get him to
21
come and
days or
visit.
is it 10?
No, it's 21, ain't it?
It's 21?
21, yeah,
Okay.
to open the
So
hearing.
he won't be able to come in and visit us until sometime.
But once everything's submitted,
Right,
then the fines will stop, but they are still in place.
Correct. We have to. I don't think you have any choice on that.
No, we
Yeah.
don't, because we're not gonna get watched on.
Right.
We will work with anyone.
True it is.
We attempted to work with them, and now this has been dragged out, just like Edwards Road. And now the DOT.
Yeah.
So, if there's nothing else that anyone else would like to
Kevin with a
add,
grin about the DOT. I feel the same way. What is this little town doing? Oh, my God. Okay.
so our next meeting is Wednesday, March 13th, 2024, at 7 PM, Board of Select Chambers, second floor. This
When?
meeting will,
24th.
of March,
no,
That it is.
March.
Wednesday, March 13th,
13.
2024, at 7 PM, Board of Select Chambers, second floor.
I'll
This
text you,
meeting will
I'll remind him.
also be
Put
held
it in your
via
smartphone.
Zoom remote in accordance with COVID-19 safety meeting guidelines. Do we have a motion to adjourn at 8:54?
I make
I'll
a
make a-
motion, we adjourn at 8:54.
Thank you,
Do we
Pat.
have a second?
Second that,
Roll call vote.
James Dorian. Very good.
James Dorian.
Yes, yes. I'm
James
sorry.
Gates, yes.
Kevin Smith, I think so. Yes.
Thank you to Mia. That was a
Pat
nice
Jones, yes.